And we're live. This is Rob Thompson. This is Game Playing You Spring 2020 Demo Showcase. Here we are. We have Bob Sayers. And then this is like a starting lineup. We feel like you should be running out of a tunnel or something, right? we have Bob Sayers and we have Tony Schiller. So they will be on the panel tonight. We're going to be running through 7 of our founders that came through the program the last 30 days. The next 8 are going to be coming next week, participating next week on June 4th, 6 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. So all of you that are watching, thank you for tuning in. All of you that are sitting backstage right now, thank you. On behalf of Mike and John, Abby, and Zach and Denise, thanks everybody for participating the last 90 days, the craziest 90 days any of us have ever experienced in our life. You guys went through this program at probably the craziest time. So congratulations. And thank you for your persistence and toughness during that time as well. A couple of housekeeping. Again, we're going to have 5 minutes. You guys are going to be coming in within 10, 15-minute intervals. You're going to have 5 minutes to present. You're going to have a 5-minute Q&A. I'm going to pop into the screen with about 30 seconds left to go within the first 5 minutes, just to give you a little bit of time that it's time to wrap up. Expect the unexpected. We might have some glitches in our in Wi-Fi or whatever. If I disappear at any moment, means I'm going to jump back in. So if you have any glitches on your side, just drop out of the studio and jump back in. A lot of times that recalibrates it. Other than that, I think we're ready to go. But before we start, Bob and Tony, Bob, I'm going to start with you first. So sure. After we go through all 7, what is the next steps? Just a little bit of kind of what we did last week. Just, what are you looking for? What are next steps for after this is over tonight?
Sure. Yeah, you're going to get 5 minutes and then 5 minutes of questions. There's a lot of people. So this is kind of like speed dating. I think after this, you can get from Rob my contact information, and then feel free to reach out to me. We could schedule more of a one-on-one time to really get together, and I will give you an honest assessment of strengths and weaknesses and where I think you can improve or what I really like about it, and then it goes in progression. That's kind of it. So consider this our first date really quick. We're just meeting for a drink. And then after that, we can get into much more detail one-on-one.
Great. Tony, how about you?
I would echo Bob's comments. And the only thing that I would add on to that is what I'm looking to hear today and understand and feel your passion is your vision. And in future conversations, I really want to understand the operational cadence and how you're going to actually build an operation and monetize against the vision.
Yeah, you know what? That's an excellent point that a lot of times founders don't recognize they have the passion and everything like that, but I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure Tony will agree. We're investors, so at the end of the day, it's return on our investment, return on our time. It may sound crass, it may sound crude, but that's quite honestly why we do this. We want to see everybody succeed, but we also, it has to make logical sense from a operations and monetary return. There's no doubt about it.
Tone, how about you with follow-up? What happens after this?
Well, I'm a very relationship-driven person, so not only do I want to understand the vision, I want to understand the person, the type of business he wants to develop, the culture. So I like to have a lot of conversation, a lot of dialogue, and really get under the hood, both within the vision, but also the person. So a lot of conversation, a lot of process to get to the point where I jump on board.
Okay. So after this, a couple weeks down the line, you'll reach out or schedule time with them if you're interested for some follow-up meetings?
I'd like to hear from everybody afterwards. And as Bob said, I'm very candid and direct. I'll share why I may be interested, where I may have some concerns, where I think there are some deficiencies in the model. And then from that first conversation, we can plan further discussion as appropriate.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. All right. So here we go. We're going to bring on Andrew from Recoding. So let's see here for a second. Andrew, there you go. How about that for an intro? I'm I'm going to drop out, and you guys are on, and it starts as soon as I drop out. Okay, good luck.
Thanks, Rob. And thanks for the time to allow me to discuss about my vision for Recoding. It is a collaborative multimedia content platform designed to make it easy for people to interact, to preserve, share, and relive their favorite memories. The inspiration for it came several years ago when several hundred people reached out to me sharing their favorite memories about how my parents had influenced their lives. My father was a pastor, my mother was a teacher. And from that, I thought I would love to recreate, instead of holding all this into another cloud folder, but I'd love to recreate kind of the fun and the excitement of building a digital scrapbook, but doing it online, leveraging multimedia, but also adding the collaborative nature. So you can get a bunch of different people to share in their favorite memories. So from there, I was able to build out a prototype, took it out on the road, tested it with about 1,000 different consumers. A lot of them were influencers in parenting and food and travel who did a lot of multimedia content. And we had great affirmation from that point about a consumer-facing product. But I put on my marketing and PR hat and said, where's a vertical market that we could approach that we could scale up quickly and generate a lot of revenue? And it became apparent that the sports, brand, and entertainment markets were there. So we started meeting with about 30 to 40 Division I athletic departments, pro teams, some PR firms that represented some country music stars. And from there, we realized that there was a tremendous opportunity for them because fan engagement is a top issue for them pre-COVID, but even post-COVID now, it's like number one with a bullet. And of course, they're looking for newer, more creative opportunities for sponsorships and to generate new revenue streams on a more consistent basis. So what we've done is we've taken a licensing SaaS model approach and allowed, we'll be selling into the teams where they can take Recoding, brand the online portal themselves, customize categories, and then they can be creating books around whatever themes they want. And the good thing about Recoding is that it's agnostic to whether a game occurred or not. This can allow teams to reuse old social content and put that in with fan content. They can also be leveraging legacy content that's been digitized. It's just sitting on their servers, but now they can take it, put it into a Recoding book, have fans collaborate their memories into it. So now that content's working for them 24/7. So it's a way of really building community, being able to create some very sustainable content that's much more personalized, also gives the teams a great opportunity for one-on-one, more personal interaction than they can do right now, because they're really at the end creatively with what they can do with social media. So we're about creating a positive communal aspect, allowing them to leverage their content in a more dynamic storytelling way, and then again opening up a lot of new opportunities for sponsorships. So we're asking right now for 250,000. 150,000 of that will be going towards finishing out the back end product. Our front end UI UX work is done, and then the other 100,000 will be focused on sales and marketing to go back and hopefully close the deals with the teams that we've already been talking with. And then we have a salesperson in place who is well known in the sports industry, who can help us also accelerate our sales and our growth opportunity there. So that's Recoding.
Thank you. Tony, you want to start or do you want me to start?
Bob, let's just start the cadence. You can always go first and I'll follow up.
Okay. My first question is, where does it all sit? So it sounds like a lot of data. How does the data, like when they create these books and everything like that, is it sitting on your server?
No.
Is it just temporarily there and it moves to them? And who owns it and that kind of stuff?
Through the licensing in our discussions with the teams, we wanted the teams to be able to own the experience and own the data because it's their branded experience. And that's a frustration that they have right now, is that a lot of the data, they're not getting a true representation from their social posts that they think they are. So we are on the enterprise side, we are licensing the content, the product, so it sits on their servers and they manage everything.
Okay, makes sense. And do you have anybody that's done it yet, or are you still in the process of alpha testing type of thing?
We're alpha testing right now, but throughout the process, especially with our UX UI design, at every sprint, we took it in front of the digital marketing managers and the sponsors, head of sponsorships for different teams, because we wanted to make sure that we were going down the right path. Because a lot of people don't understand, these teams don't have big staffs. So we have to create something that's very simple to use, very intuitive, so that they can put anybody in charge, if it's an intern or up the ladder, that it's easy to use, it's very intuitive, and they can be creating content at a moment's notice.
And what's your revenue stream? How are you generating revenue? Is it a subscription? Is it a per use? Is it, how's that working?
It's a monthly subscription fee, and we have up to 500,000 fans, and then we have over 500,000 fans or users, and then within that we have the premium, which is Recoding, the teams creating content, and then they can tack on fans being able to create their own accounts, so fans can come in and create their own digital books regardless if they collaborate with the team or not. So there's two levels, and then sub levels within those categories.
Okay. One more question for me. On the back end, the 150, is that a service provider that you've already used, or do you have to go hire that out?
It's a team that we already have in place that's been following along, that's been working with our UI UX team as well here in Dallas, so they know the product inside and out, and they're ready to go.
So how long do you think that will take?
We're looking at about 4 months, and then about probably another 30 days of testing.
Okay. Tony?
Thanks, Bob. Andrew, I love the insight. Part of the attraction, part of the power of sports and entertainment is the collective experience with your friends, your family, and then the bigger community if you're there live.
Right.
I agree with that. I'm struggling to really understand what it is. I hear, a book. I hear the team can do it. A fan can do it. I really want to make sure I walk away understanding what it is this digital experience can be for a fan, and then for the community of fans.
You bet. So think of it that the branded portal will have a Netflix type of interface. So when you come in, there will be custom categories that the team can create. So it can be the season, it can be the playoffs, it can be in the community, it could be whatever they name their fans, like if it's Cowboy Nation or something like that. So they can create these categories and then archive them when necessary, and then create new ones. But the idea is that we give the teams pre-formatted layouts. They're collecting the content in from the fans, but then they access the content that they've created that's sitting on their own hard drives or cloud folders, things like that. And then they can aggregate that into a book. And we have actually a very unique feature that they can just drag and drop into it, but then drag along blank formats, and it repositions video, all the elements in that. So it allows them to truly create these digital books in a very short amount of time. And then they can do it. They can make them as large as they want, or as small. They can make them public and share them across their social platforms, because we're not trying to eliminate their current social. We're a content platform. We want to be part of their digital presence, but something that they have more control of, more of a positive experience that's not fighting with the other things that are going on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram like that. It's a true team positive experience, but it really is digital books. They can have chapters. They can make it private. So if there was, they could use it for recruits. They could use it for VIPs that were coming to a game. They could use it for sponsors. That's kind of the beauty of the platform. It's really agnostic. It's just a very open space that they can come in and be very creative with.
Rob, do I have time for one more question?
Go ahead.
So, Andrew, you just started to lean into my next question, which is sponsorship. So,
Right.
A sponsor, Coca-Cola, could provide a code. Buy Coca-Cola, get this code, and you can get access to this fan experience that no one else can get unless you have this code, correct? That's
absolutely right. We have it set up where, say, they have a sponsorship with like Buffalo Wild Wings. It's the team sponsored location for watch parties. They could send out a special code that the restaurant could promote, so they can pull content in from there. So you're exactly right. We allow the team to be flexible with however they want, but they can also sponsor the site. They can sponsor categories as well. They can sponsor the messages that go out to their fans. So it gives them a lot of levels to be able to leverage sponsorships in a more creative way than they can now.
Very good. I think that's the key right there. That to me was always the draw for this platform, was always this, a little bit more of a B2C facing with the sponsor activation on the back end. So Andrew, thank you so much, sir. Anything else, gentlemen? All right. Good job.
Well done.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Up next, we have Seat Bum. All right, Ryan Newland, you're on deck, buddy. I see you back there.
For me?
There we go.
All
You're
right.
live, pal.
All set. All right. Hi, Bob. Hi, Tony.
Hey.
Seat Bum is a mobile app that allows fans to order concessions from their phone and have it delivered to their seats. I got the idea a couple years ago. I was at a baseball game with my younger brother, and he had to wait in line for 45 minutes. So I thought to myself, there has to be a better way to enhance the fan experience. So I set out to revolutionize a product so other, fans could spend more time with their friends and family, not waiting in line, missing the game. I'm not the first one to, think of this idea. I'm sure it's probably been around 15, 20 years, but it still remains an untapped market, surprisingly. But I think with, companies like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, you're eventually going to see this, catch on in the future. And especially with the pandemic, everything that's going on, I think the sports industry is going to change a lot, specifically the concessions. So you're not going to see the beer vendor walking up and down, selling hot dogs. I think all the concessions are going to be packaged. You're going to see everything in a box. So Seat Bum is really positioned at the right time. We can help alleviate some of these problems, paying with cash, because fans aren't going to want to stand in line with, social distancing, 6 feet apart. There's going to be, a line 100 feet long. So, those are just a couple of the problems that we help solve. Two of the other problems we help solve are lost sales and no analytics. In regards to the lost sales, one of the statistics we like to highlight comes from a report called The Fan Experience by Oracle Hospitality. and this states 45% of fans had abandoned a concessions line in the past year because the wait was too long. So if you have, say, 100,000 fans in a year, this is saying almost half of them didn't order concessions. So the average concessions being $20, this would transcend into hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost sales. The other problem is the analytics. A lot of teams don't track, what they're selling. The Seat Bum platform, we can track, who's buying what they're buying, when they're buying. So it just helps the teams create market forecasts, control inventory as well. So how it works is there's two apps. There's the fan app and the Bum Runner app. So fans will go to a stadium, they'll download Seat Bum, the menu item will automatically come up, they'll order, process the payment. That goes to our second app called the Bum Runner. So the Bum Runner gets the alert, they see what the fan has ordered, where they're sitting, they accept it, and then that goes back to the fan saying their order's been accepted. So the Bum Runner, they can communicate with the fan throughout the ordering process, so the fan knows status throughout the ordering process. And then the Seat Bum platform, this is really the brains behind Seat Bum. This is where everything, the admin tracks everything. So they can, add concession items. They can manage their staff. They can also manage the in-app advertising and the promotions side. So an example of in-app advertising, that could be something as simple as changing the home screen on the app saying today's game brought to you by State Farm. In regards to the promotions, we could partner with, as Tony mentioned, Coca-Cola, Bud Light, if we wanted to sell them advertising, once a home run is hit, 10% off of Bud Light. So in the fan app, you would just type in, promo code, whatever it is, Bud Light, and then upon checkout, you apply that, and then it takes that off. So those are just a couple additional revenue streams that stadiums can use for their current and future partners. In regards to the revenue streams, there's three types. The first is a straight delivery fee of $2. So we take $2 off of every delivery. This is for the smaller stadiums, college, minor league. But I think that could go up to $5 for larger venues. I just feel that, people spend a lot of money on, tickets, parking. So $5, to not wait in line or miss any of the game, would make it worthwhile. The second revenue stream is a percentage, 6.5% of all concession sales from the app. And the last one is a licensing fee based on the size of the stadium. And lastly, we're seeking $250,000 in a convertible note. This would really be to get aggressive with sales and marketing while setting aside, money for project engineering and operations, and so. Who wants to step out of line and be a Seat Bum? Thanks for letting me present, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, here, I'll start it. First question is, what has COVID done, or coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, done to your plan? I assume this pushed it out a little bit because there's no people in the seats right now.
Yes, absolutely. We were gonna, be working with, a couple stadiums, but everything's just on hold now. And, like I mentioned, I don't know really what the concessions, is going to look like. But from what I'm hearing and talking to people, I think you're just going to see a lot of the concessions packaged. For instance, like the condiments, condiment packets are now going to be boxed. And there's just not going to be a lot with the, cash transactions. So I'm just kind of waiting like everyone else.
Okay, and where are you with the software? Is the software complete now, or does it still have work to do?
No, everything is totally done, functional. We just have to complete the Android. That's going to be started July 1st, and then it'll take 3 months to complete.
Okay, and before all this happened with the coronavirus, where were you with? Were you talking to any stadiums, or were you just any progress on any of them, or was it still waiting for the software to be done? Where were you on that? Had you tested it or like that?
Yeah, we have a handful of stadiums, but primarily high schools. But we've had several hundred customers, and we've worked out all the bugs, and so really we're going to try to get into more minor league baseball and colleges later on this year, hopefully.
What about barriers to entry? Are you concerned that someone could just come in and do a similar app? Do you have any IP protection or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean there are a handful of other companies doing this. They're just kind of getting started. But the main barrier I see is a lot of these concessions are managed by third parties like Levy, Airmark, Sodexo. So really I need part of the funding. I want to work with sports marketing agencies that can really provide some inroads and help out with really getting some good connections.
Okay, Tony, you want to jump in?
Yeah, thank you. And Ryan and I spoke about a month ago,
Right.
And I really, really like the concept. And Ryan mentioned that this idea has been around for a while. I actually consulted with a startup about 15 years ago that had this idea, actually about 18 years ago. I am concerned, Ryan, that there are companies that I wouldn't even characterize as startups anymore that have a pretty healthy head start, which, Budweiser or Miller, who was there first, one of them caught up with the other. So I'm not saying that you can't catch up, but a company like Venue Next is already operational professionally and collegiately. They're servicing venues that have tens of thousands of fans. So I guess I'm just curious, two questions. One, is there a point of differentiation that SeatBum can provide different value proposition than what's in the marketplace now? And then two, from a marketing perspective, how are you going to create that interest and awareness since you are not the first into the game?
Right. So the first question, without giving too much detail, but I'll definitely, provide it, when when we speak, hopefully soon. I just signed an agreement, a partnership agreement today with a company, and it's really going to set us apart from what other companies are doing. We're going to be the only provider that can offer gamification and really get into the fan engagement and analytics. So for instance, we can, engage with the fans and say, will there be a home run in the first 2 innings? Yes or no. If you're right, then you get 10% of your nachos. So what a lot of these companies aren't doing, like the Venue Next, they're not really engaging their fans right now. And SeatBum, we're focused. We want to focus on the smaller stadiums. Venue Next is in Major League, and I don't see us being there anytime soon. We want to start small. But I just think with SeatBum, the brand, there's a lot of opportunities for working with sponsors and advertising.
That's about it. So just so you know, too, that the third party is Sedition and Erevan from Finisco from our Orlando event. And I just thought that, obviously they're working with us on the tech side, but that last vertical for Ryan was definitely the gamification piece that I think he needed in there. So he just signed a deal with them today. So
that's great.
Good job,
We got
Ryan.
a lot of good things coming up. So, yep. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Good
Well done,
job.
Ryan.
All right. So up next, we have Openly. We got Matt in the back office over there. I see him in the back room. Give me a second, fellas. I'm going to bring it up. There you go. You are on the clock at 6:30 right now. You're on the clock. Good luck, Manny.
All right. Thank you. So hi, everyone. My name is Matt Morrison. I'm the founder and CEO of Openly. Openly is the first and only review-based platform for professionals working in sports. So think Rate My Professor or Glassdoor, but specifically for the sports industry. This includes people working for professional teams and leagues, all colleges, and thousands of third parties that play in the world of sports, including agencies, media, gambling, and esports. So our mission is to empower open and honest conversations about careers and jobs in the sports industry. We started Openly for two reasons. First, we had some experience in the industry and noticed a lack of information beyond a random job description when searching for opportunities. You'd see the generic description, but have no idea what the culture was or information around benefits, career path, growth opportunities, or just real day-to-day life. That's the information that helps people decide if a company has the potential to be a good fit for them. Second, think of how much internal makeup of teams and organizations in sports has changed drastically in the last 10 years with the rise of social media and technology. Roles exist today that never existed before, including digital marketing, social media, content creation, graphic design, analytics, and even roles like communications and sales has changed so much. Unfortunately, Glassdoor hasn't evolved to accommodate the needs of new people in this niche, and you'd frequently see reviews from parking lot attendants, concession workers, and tour guides. We also noticed a lack of mutually beneficial performance management processes, or in many cases, no process or feedback whatsoever. An unintended find during our market research was 65% of potential users who work in sports receive little to no performance feedback in the same way someone in corporate America would. Outside of maybe a few sit-downs per year with very little documentation, so many organizations don't provide general feedback and project-based reviews in a formalized way. One thing we know for sure, millennials and Gen Z crave feedback, and we want to fix this. So our solution aims to completely revolutionize the job search process and experience for those working in sports. Openly allows individuals to rate and review their current and past jobs, freelance gigs, or internships in the sports industry. Users will be able to start their job search with Openly by looking at the reviews of organizations and teams before they apply for a job, as well as during the interview process, to make sure what the organization has to offer aligns with what's important to them. In conversation with 30 potential users, all currently working in sports, all 30 told us they wish they had a platform like Openly during their job search. We're also going to build a gold standard community with forum to foster open discussion across a variety of topics and a showcase to upload your portfolio of photos, edits, videos, and more. So our ultimate goal is to eventually provide a two-way employee-employer feedback model to empower open and honest dialogue regarding performance, all facilitated by the Openly platform. So users will be able to go in and download, export their performance reviews and actually use those to help land their next job. Organizations can use this to streamline some of their performance management processes and really gain valuable insight into their people data, all while attracting and retaining the best talent. So when it comes to revenue, Openly will focus on three things. One, subscription tiers similar to Glassdoor for teams, companies, and organizations. This is the primary source of revenue, and our tiered approach will open up more features as the tiers increase. Two, strategic sponsored content on our platform and across social. The data that we capture is ultimately going to be extremely valuable, not just the reviews themselves, but who is leaving those reviews. Three, traditional advertisements that you might see on Yelp, LinkedIn, and Glassdoor. So right now we're looking for strategic advisors who can help navigate the sports industry and establish key introductions, as well as access to capital. We want to raise $100,000 over the next 18 months to help build critical features, scale our offering, and enhance technology. We do have an interactive prototype design built, but our biggest immediate need is $25,000 to take this design and build the platform. We've already scoped this out with a development firm that Rob actually introduced us to, and they are ready to deliver an MVP by August. We know your decision to invest or be an advisor has a lot to do with the founders. So I've spent my time working in a Division I college athletics department, as well as minor league baseball and a sports marketing firm. In addition, most of my corporate experience lies within talent acquisition, HR, and business development. And I currently work for EY, where I help run strategy and operations for a Fortune 50 global client. I've also had the help of my brother, Kevin, who has his own experience in sports working for the NBA Summer League and an MLB agency. In conclusion, we've seen a strong rise in these niche vertical community-based startups. Companies like Alpha, which is a community for women in technology, recently raised money and is now valued at $15 million. In addition, some of these large review-based platforms like Rate My Professor and Glassdoor have sold for $70 million and $1.2 billion, respectively. Openly is first to market in the space, and we believe we can completely change the game when it comes to how information is leveraged for careers in the sports industry. Whether you're already working in sports or want to break into the industry, your career runs through Openly. Thanks for your time, and I'll open it up for some questions.
Okay. Thanks, Matt. I'll start. Just to clarify, who is rating who? So is the athlete rating the team? Is the sports expert rating the company? Just clarify that for me so I understand exactly who's rating to who.
Yeah, of course. So this would be individuals who work for like the internal employees of teams, leagues, organizations. So anybody from the social media manager of the Cincinnati Bengals or a ticket sales individual for the New York Yankees, all of those kind of, corporate jobs that are on the back end that work for all of these teams and leagues and organizations that play in the sports industry.
Okay. So, and you're saying Glassdoor does not do a good job at that now, so you're just going to focus on that arena? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. So one, Glassdoor is really expensive for the actual companies and organizations side. So you don't see those types of teams and organizations that buy into Glassdoor, which means the reviews they have aren't useful for the people working in sports, right? So this kind of came up when we were searching for jobs ourselves and realized that this information is not helpful at all. It's for people that are seasonal workers. It's not these professional type, jobs that are in sports now. And because of, again, the rise of social media technology, these roles exist now. And I was just graduated college not even 10 years ago. And these roles exist today that never existed back then.
Got it. For the platform, let's talk about that. You don't have an MVP yet. So you're really looking, you explain in a little detail the 25K, where you are in development. Is it just starting? Is it, give me a little bit on that.
Yeah. So really, because of this whole situation and not going into the office, it's given a lot of time to work on this. So we've really taken it from just an idea when Rob and Mike took a chance on us and had our first initial pitch deck to we've actually worked with the UX designer to build like a prototype. So it's in a design, it's clickable, it's interactive, but it's obviously not a platform to, put information in and have a backend database. So that design though has allowed us to really understand the flow of things. And we can take that design and take it to a development firm to help build out the platform versus it just coming and sitting in my head still. So that's been a huge development for us. And that would be the initial part of it would be taking that design and actually building that part out, right? So having a back-end database, having the workable, almost marketplace style where you could have users come in, rate reviews, log in, also have a forum there as well. So that's where that initial part would come from.
Okay, thank you. Tony?
Hey, Matt, great presentation and congrats. I really like the idea. I've been in sports and entertainment my entire career. I've worked for a few teams, and now as an agency partner, we work with most teams. And like every industry, the culture and the organizational structure at the New York Yankees is different from the Los Angeles Chargers, is different from University of Florida's athletic department. And most job recruits, even people that have been working for 5 or 10 years, don't really understand the difference from organization to organization. So I think there's a real need here. And I like the concept a lot. So I'm going to only ask 2 questions for now. One, you've got to create massive awareness. You are going against Glassdoor. Everyone knows it. It may be not efficient for our industry, and you're right, it's not. The few times I've looked at Glassdoor for our industry, you're getting parking lot attendants say, I didn't get paid tonight. But you've got to create significant awareness. How are you going to go to market and build that awareness both from job prospects as well as from organizations that you want to subscribe?
Yeah. So yeah, again, typical marketplace business, you do need both sides, and that's a fun challenge to go after. So we would really take the approach, and again, I do have that background in business development, but but we would really work with the users. We've already been talking with upwards of almost 100 people that work in sports, and we would really want it to be authentic. We want them to go on, maybe send them unique links, and almost make it kind of exclusive at first, right? I think if we're able to get people that have had some really good jobs in the sports industry, but are still young and curious what's out there, we can get them to get on the platform, leave 4 or 5 reviews, talk with us to their friends who are in the industry, maybe send them a link to kind of build that community. I think that's a big piece of this. We're building a niche community-based startup relevant to, could be completely separate niches there, but that's how we would do it on the user side. So we'd want to get the right people on board, start to push it out across social media. And then on the team side, we do have some relationships with people in athletic departments, and we would want to sell to them basically, right? Start to understand, and maybe even have some pilot customers at first to see, hey, let's build this with you in mind. How can we work with you to make this useful for you as well? Because if they don't find it useful, then they're not going to want to pay the subscription, right? So having that two-sided approach and have people that can focus and attract both sides is extremely important.
Okay, I'm not sure you answered the question, but I like what you said. Thank you. Next question. In terms of securing relationships on the team side, it's a pretty tight but friendly fraternity. As you build your leadership team, have you given thought to bringing on a senior leader who comes from the industry and can walk in those doors and knows people and can get meetings with one phone call and walks in with credibility?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's a big reason why we're here and why we found value in joining, the Gameplay New Accelerator, was to see how can we bring people in on advisors as leadership team members who believe in our mission, that also can, get us in the door and that has clout in the industry. I think if you're able to build the right brand on our side for what we have to offer to both users and to the organizations and teams, have the right people on board that can get in the door and show why it's valuable, that is a big part of what we're looking to do here over the next 6 to 8 months.
Great. What do you see as the most immediate challenge right now for you?
Well, I think right now it's obviously still being pre-product, right? So it's understanding that there's still a lot of work to do on that end and building out the product and having, everything from creating your own surveys to having all this information stored, and then the rollout side of things. If we know we can have an MVP out by August, we have to start working right now to get that marketing and rollout plan secure. So while the development firm would be building that's what we'd be focusing on our end, was actually starting to work backwards to put a marketing plan in place to get this thing rolled out.
Great.
Well, nice job, Matt. You got a little extra time because we're waiting for the next group to up is not on yet, so you got a little extra overtime on that one. Yeah. So, very good. So we're going to take a little bit of a pause here for a second. Matt, you're all set. Thank you. Thanks for dressing up. You look good.
Nice
we're going to dust this off. I haven't worn it in a while, so
that's the Florida look. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, we got Punter Clash up next. Brad, if you're listening, you're going to come up next if Punter Clash does. Richard doesn't show up in another 30 seconds. So, gentlemen, take a quick break.
Rob, it's funny. You come in like the voice of God and the image of God. All of a sudden, you're there.
Yeah, it just pops up there.
I've become my mother. I really have. I've become my mother.
That's not what you want to say.
No, I have. I'm everywhere listening. Let's see. Well, this is the one thing about technology. We have a strict timeline. Here we go. We got someone up. There's Richard. All right, Punter Clash. You guys ready? All right. Richard, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
You're up, buddy.
Okay. Do I have this thing?
Yeah, on you, man. Go when you want to.
Okay. All right. Yes, we're ready. Hi there. I'm Richard Owoyemi, and I am. Yeah, can you hear me?
I don't have any audio.
Yes, I could.
You can hear any audio? Can you hear me now? Okay. Hi there. I'm Richard. I'm Richard Owoyemi, and I'm the founder and CEO of Punter Clash. I have been a sports punter for about 5 years now. And before uh,
Just keep going, Richard. That's all. Just keep
okay,
going.
it's kind of slow.
Yeah.
I,
Tony, if you can't hear him, you just jump out of the studio and jump back in. Just reset yourself.
okay,
Got it.
Oh. So it's just you and I now, Bob. Should I tell you a story?
There you go. Yeah, that's technology today, right? It happens.
Yeah. There we go. We got
Okay.
Richard back.
I'm back. Awesome. Sorry about that. Okay. Hi there. I'm Richard Owoyemi, and I'm the founder and CEO of Punter Clash. I've been a sports punter for about 5 years now. And before Punter Clash, there was a WhatsApp group that I was really passionate about, and I called it Grants Betting Challenge, short for GBC. And it was from the failures that I got from GBC that Punter Clash emerged. My goal with GBC back then in 2017 was to create a platform that allowed that I could get all punters to actually bet against themselves and find an overall punter that we could all copy his bets. But it was a failure because I was given 3 points for everybody who won a bet, and I was given -3 points for everyone who lost the bet. And I did this by using an Excel spreadsheet. I thought this would make us become better punters, but I was wrong. I eventually stopped updating and posting on GBC WhatsApp group, and soon after, all our users went out. GBC became inactive. I was hurt, and I could not stop licking my wounds from the failure of GBC. And on one evening, on the summer of 2018 precisely, something happened that changed the trajectory of my life. I asked myself a question. What if GBC then had made punters go head to head with themselves, with their decimal odds, and there was a guarantee for one person to win at the end of the day? That if that was the case for GBC, would I have given up? My answer was no. And it was from that point that Punter Clash was born. And since that day, I don't even think there's been a day that I've not mentioned the word Punter Clash. So Punter Clash's current target market is Nigeria. And then in an emerging economy like Nigeria, there is a ridiculous high rate of unemployment. And the obsession of the Nigerian youth with sports has ended sports betting industry an annual growth rate of 16%, according to a PwC report in 2016. And this report also stated that about 60 million Nigerians between the age of 18 to 45 engaged in sports betting daily. Nevertheless, manipulation is a harsh word, but it reflects the way the industry currently relies on statistical manipulation to ensure profitability against punters. Due to the series of problems the Nigerian economy is currently facing, Nigerian youths have turned to sports betting as a source of income, and the pain of losses that can disrupt one's physical health, making it hard to sleep, making it difficult to sleep, and even think straight, is what the Nigerian punters are currently experiencing. An average Nigerian loses at least 20 times before they can win one time from sports betting, according to a Steers Online publication in 2018 precisely. And this is a problem that I have faced myself, and it is not pretty at all. It is really hard. So my first big vision, my first big assignment with Punter Clash was to travel back to Nigeria in 2018 to find a team after I had the idea of Punter Clash. And I cannot tell you how many times the people I know, my friends and family, told me not to travel back to Nigeria, that it was an unwise idea. But of course, I know they meant well for me. But it was through the Alchemist, the book I read back then, that I had the strength to defy my friends and family, whom I love dearly. And since then, we have developed Punter Clash to uniquely and creatively pair punters together with their decimal odds. It has never been done before in the sports betting industry. It is unconventional, it is new, and we call this process of two punters engaging themselves a clash. and we charge our punters 10% on every clashes they make. And we launched the beta of Punter Clash on May 15th of this month. And since then, we've had 152 users on Punter Clash. And of these 152 punters, we've had over 157 clashes today. And these guys, they've all wagered about $327 since in 13 days, May 15th till now. They've wagered $327. And we asked our punters 2 questions to rate their experience on Punter Clash, like rate your experience on what we've created for you on a scale of 1 to 5. And 59% of them rated us 5%. And we also asked them, if we resolve all the challenges you're facing currently, how likely are you to come back to Punter Clash? And 68% of them on a scale of 1 to 5 rated us 5. And Punter Clash currently is buzzing with new ideas from our users, and they cannot even fathom the idea that our design team currently holds in stock for them. And currently, Punter Clash is projected to have 100% month-to-month growth rate next year in 2021. And at the end of 2021, we are projecting that we will have 204,000 users. And from these 204,000 users, we are going to have $350,000 in revenue, and we will break even in like 2 years in 2021. But 2021 to 2025 month-to-month projection is different from that of next year. We're projecting 10% month-to-month growth rate from 2021 to 2025. In the future, Punter Clash hopes to expand to other African nations because we want to capture about 13.5% of the total sports betting industry of Nigeria by 2025, which equates to about 8 million users. That is what we want in 2025. And there is room for us to expand to other industry, to other nations, and allow intercontinental bets that has never been seen before in the whole sports betting industry, where punters wager amongst themselves. And our goal with Punter Clash is to one day make punters influencers, to give them prestige, because currently, my experience with sports betting, there has not been any way to get prestige from the game of sports betting. It's all negative stigma around. We want to change this narrative, and we want to usher in a trend, a new trend for the sports betting industry like never before. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Richard, I'll start. What is your ask? What are you looking to raise here?
We're asking for $500,000 in return for 10% equity in Punter Clash today.
Okay. What about regulations in Nigeria on gambling and collecting money and everything like that? Do you have any issues? Have you already?
The online sports betting industry currently, as I'm aware of, in Nigeria is unregulated. The online sports betting industry is unregulated. Only the ones that have stores that are regulated currently. And I personally reached out. Oh, I'm listening. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I
personally reached out to the head of the Nigerian sports betting industry, NRLC. His name is Dr. Bamilaja. And we didn't get any kind of response from him because I assume there is no regulation in the sports betting industry online.
So what right now then you're using credit cards for them to gamble, or how are the ones, the 152 users, how are they gambling?
They're depositing into our platform. We have a beta app that we launched on May 15th of this month. And we're using Paystack as our processing. The money does not come to us. We have a processing partner that processes all these transactions that is coming in.
What about from a software point of view? Is your software complete? Do you still have more work to do on it?
Yes, we definitely have improvements on Punter Clash. We already have our design team working on a way 10, 20, 40 punters can engage in sports betting at once. So we have improvements currently.
And what are you going to use that investment for? What is that money needed for?
We're going to use this for product development, which is our employees. We're going to use that money to give player awards to lure punters into our platform. And we're going to use part of that money to improve our software because we have suppliers that give us odds data that our punters come on our platform to gamble with. We want to improve the one we have currently to have XLR, simulated reality leagues, so they can bet on esports also to improve our data, so they can have more options, which is currently the problems they've been giving us in our WhatsApp group, that they don't have enough market to bet on, and we want to give them more.
Okay. Tony?
Thanks, Bob. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Richard, I love the sports gaming space. I've looked at a lot of startups, and I'm really hungry to find the right one. Trying to understand your platform. So, are you just bringing together people who want to bet against each other,
Yes.
or are you, as you evolve, are you going to provide any type of tools to help the gambler make smarter picks? Are you going to provide any?
Of course. We have solutions that is going to make punters to be able to outsmart themselves. And we want to make the creation of bet slip as seamless as possible with just about 3 clicks. That is our current future goal, our design future goal task. We want to make it easy for them to create a bet slip in just 3 clicks.
And of the 100 plus clashes that you've had,
157.
Thank you. Have they all been in football, or are they in other sports as well?
They've only been in soccer, only in soccer for now. And we've not added other sports because tennis season is not yet in full right now. We don't have any sports going on apart from soccer. And that's the only thing we've implemented on our platform for our users to use.
So how are you going to generate acquisition? How are you going to bring users to you? How are they going to make them aware of Punter Clash?
Okay, so we brought in a marketing team from a top marketing company, Web Coopers in Nigeria, to assist us with this. They're currently working on our marketing plan. And we also have an alliance with a top business executive that works for Venture Garden. It's an investment, a VC company in Nigeria. We have an executive that advises us from that company. So this is our plan to attack the market. The current Punter Clash team of last year, the only thing I can tell you that we have was innovation and engineering. We have a CTO, and I and my co-founders, we've not been paid till date on Punter Clash. We have an engineering team.
Got it. So right now, punters are just, I talked to my buddy. He thinks that team's going to win. I think this team's going to win. And we just have a gentleman's bet that whoever wins it, I'll pay him $20 if he's right or whatever.
I get where you're coming from, but our platform actually gets the winner. We declare the winner on our platform. We declare the winner with our own proprietary software that we developed. We have the technicality of how 2 users can engage themselves figured out on Punter Clash. I believe that is on slide 6 of our pitch deck.
Got it.
The way we compare users is how we're unique, is what makes us unique. That's where our uniqueness lies.
Good job, Richard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other question, gentlemen? We're good?
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right, gentlemen. 157, Tony, in case you didn't catch that.
I wrote it down.
Yeah. Brad, I see you in there. So Zadok, you're up. Here you go, Brad. The floor is yours, sir. How you doing? You're looking good.
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Brad, I see you in there. So Zadok, you're up. Here you go, Brad.
Okay.
The floor is yours, sir. How you doing? You're looking good.
Thank you. Doing well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Brad, I see you in there.
Oh.
So Zadok, you're up.
Sorry about
You're
that.
in a loop.
Getting some feedback. Is that good now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Brad Paz, the founder and CEO of Zadok. Zadok is currently pre-revenue, raising $541,000 by way of a safe investment vehicle. We'll be using that money to continue development on our system and deploy up to 5 beta kits of our system into athletic institutions here in the state of Colorado. I started this project, it's kind of a passion project, because I wanted to help my daughter get better at basketball. when she was in high school. And I didn't really have grand visions of her being a D1 athlete. It was just that parent in me that wanted to help her basically reach her maximum potential. So about 2 years ago, one of our early iterations of our prototype sparked a conversation with the D1 university. We engaged them, we talked to further, and at that point in time, I decided this is something that I need to go full time with. So fast forward to today, and our video and wearable tracking system will capture a detailed digital copy of an athlete traversing the field in indoor and outdoor environments. And when it kicks out are advanced analytics that were typically only available to professional athletes. So really, it takes the guesswork out of coaching and delivers that information to the performance coach, which gives them a number of things to do with the information. They can optimize performance, and now with COVID, they can also monitor the well-being of the athlete on an ongoing basis. So a little bit about how it works. This is the small sensor that's worn by the athlete, and it collects hundreds of thousands of metric samples in sub-second intervals of the athletes moving up and down the field. Then the iPads back here that include our Zaptic app are situated around the court, field, rink, what have you, with specialized tripods, and basically the data as well as the video time synced together. So all of that information is compressed, analyzed, aggregated, and then distributed to the coaches, athletes, parents, what have you. Obviously with a high degree of privacy because we want to control that information. The market that we're looking at, you're probably well familiar, it's a $30 billion US youth and amateur sports industry. We're very focused based on the sports that we're going after. There's 8.1 million athletes that play at a very high competitive level. That would be collegiate clubs, what have you. A lot of that information is taken from ESPN, NCAA, and some other resources. And I think it comes down to, ultimately, it's the pressure of winning in these sports. It's at all skill levels in virtually every team sport. And sports technology is no longer, just something that a pro team can have. It's really mandatory for any team that is looking to win. And unfortunately, winning costs money. I'd be lying if I said this was easy. Hardware is very difficult when you try and blend hardware with software and then thinking about the process of implementing it into the actual activity. It's very challenging, not to mention, the long sales cycles when you're looking with colleges and universities. I've been very fortunate to navigate a lot of those obstacles with a fantastic team. I have someone on the team, Tanya Porter, who used to be the head of performance for the U.S. Olympic Committee. One of our engineers used to build things for Nokia and Boeing. And then I have a third software app expert who was a D1 athlete at the University of Southern California. And he's actually built 4 companies and has 1 exit under his belt. A little bit about the pricing very quickly. We actually lease the hardware, and then we charge an annual subscription for the base software. That would be paid by the athletic organization or institution. From there, we charge on a subscription basis. So all of the data, analytics, video is comprised in a mobile app, which we allow the parents, recruiters, boosters, whoever wants to really purchase that, again, with a lot of control on privacy for that. So that's a little bit about it. It is designed to be built for many different sports, which I can cover, but it was really to make it affordable and scalable, because there's some small schools that could actually use the system across multiple teams rather than having it set dormant in the space. So in closing, our vision is to transform Zaptic into an essential part of every elite coaching staff's toolkit, and our data into something relied on by parents and recruiters across the nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Brad, this is Bob Sires. Can you give a breakdown on the money that you're raising, where that money is going to be used?
Absolutely. So the 541,000 of that, we're actually using 350,000 that goes back into the system itself. And I think with COVID happening, which we're, definitely keeping a pulse on that, we added another 100 just into the product itself. The salaries, are very limited. I think the people that I'm working with understand where we're at, and they want to get this off the ground. But the lion's share, 60% of that 541 is going to go back into the product. That's really where we're at right now.
So when do you anticipate the product will be ready for launch?
For full launch? Because I think, So what we're doing right now is the product market fit. And we've identified 5 athletic institutions that we want to work with. So we want to get that in there, see how it works for them, and learn more about how we make it user-friendly for that specific institution. In our financial forecast, we're probably looking at a soft launch in 9 months. But again, with COVID, it's something we just have to keep our eye on.
Okay, and then, and I could be way off, but I'll ask it this way. In golf, you have a TrackMan. Is this similar to a TrackMan? I know you're looking more at the athlete. TrackMan looks more at the ball flight and everything, but is that the kind of data it's going to be gathering, so then it provides feedback, something like that?
Exactly. I think one thing that is very important to us is that we're not circumventing the performance coach. We're not a watch that tells you if you're having a bad day. We really want to work deeply with the coaches because we believe that's where the impact lies. So the data that we're collecting is, your speed, your distance, your workload, deceleration, acceleration. And I think, understanding what the needs are and creating a personalized approach for those coaches is really where the keys are, because we're not going to go in and tell them what to do. That's not the level of coaches we're working with.
Okay, and then one last question from me. The system itself, a full-on system, what do you think the cost, not what you're going to sell it for, but the cost of a system? Because I'm trying to understand, if you had to put 100 systems out there, what would your initial upfront costs for that be?
So from a COG standpoint, you're looking anywhere, and a lot has to do with the video, if they want the video, anywhere from 10 to 15,000 cost. And that would include 20 of the tags that I dropped. That would include 20 tags. And I can share that. I can go deeper with you on our one-on-ones, because I think what we want to do is really sell less hardware and be able to multi-use the tags. So, for example, we have NFC built into them, and there's Bluetooth. And having a barcode where you can switch those out between athletes is really our vision. Affordability and scalability is important to us.
Makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Nice job, Brad.
Thank you.
A couple of questions. I really like the space, and I think I can empathize with you. I was a soccer dad, and as my daughter was coming up, and she became more and more competitive and played for club teams, I did everything I could to invest in her passion for just optimizing her ability. I didn't think that she was going to be in the women's national team, but as long as she was passionate, I was going to invest in her passion. So I get it. And then as a sports marketing agency, probably our biggest niche is in youth marketing. We help clients, in particular Gatorade, touch about 4 million youth athletes a year. And it's a very competitive space. I find the premise interesting because, as you suggest, all the athletes are always trying to improve, but not all club teams have a performance coach. Trying to understand what are the metrics that you are going to be measuring? What's the information and insights that will be able to be extrapolated from the data? Whether you're playing soccer or basketball or lacrosse, what is that performance coach, if there is one, going to be able to say? Here's what we can learn from this data.
Right. Well, let me give you an example. We are in talks with a D1 university, and we're very close with their performance team. So from that example, they came to us and he said, for the women's basketball team, I want to know how many decelerations my girls are having in the practice. because he believes that that has a direct impact on knee tears. So those are the types of things that we want to kind of form around what their needs are, and obviously aggregating all of the other data to begin learning more about it. I think at the club level, at least, and my kids, I have two little ones, they're in club now. I'm seeing more and more third-party performance coaches coming in and working with them. What I like about that is that if I'm able to collect that information on my kids, it's ours, we own it, and as they progress, I can share that information with the next levels that they go to. That way, you can start right off the gates with your next performance coach.
And do you see the tool being used differently for a D1 school as opposed to a U14 lacrosse team?
Absolutely. With the D1 schools that we've talked to, a lot of them already have a video department. So we just wipe away our video component and, interface those together. I think at the younger levels, by the way, I didn't mention it, but this is actually a mobile unit. So we don't actually have to hardwire it into the infrastructure. I think at the club level, having a mobile unit or installing it into a infrastructure that can handle a lot of volume with kids, incrementally you can drive down the cost and the expense of the system. So I can see it being used. I know as a soccer dad or basketball dad, I would love to have that information on my kids, and my son's only 12.
Got it. Do you see having a group of advisors / soft endorsers that come with a lot of credibility and allow you to get in some doors based on, we have relationships with X, Y, and Z?
That's the biggest thing right now for us, is establishing that. We've started talks with a few of the people like that, but I think that's kind of one of the things that we'd like to add in the next month or two is those names.
Is there any technology out there that you would deem competitive to Zaptic?
Yeah, there's a few out there. Most of them are GPS based, so they're only going to work outdoors. Ours works indoors and outdoors. There's a few out there, and I think I included them in my pitch deck in there, but these are the newer ones. I think the market leaders are all global ones, your Catapults, Connexon, but there's two that are interesting in the U.S. and they're specific to football, and one of them manages concussion protocol with that. So there's definitely a few out there.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, we're all set?
Thank you.
Good. Brad, thank you. I'm almost afraid to talk. That crazy loop might come on again. There it is. Good job, Brad. I appreciate it.
Right. Thank you, Joe.
Got Playing the Fields up next. Michael in the back room. I think I see him. Mike, just give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go. All right, here we go.
Bob, Tony, how are you?
Hey.
Good. How you doing?
Good. All right. So if you're the same as me and have been single at any time in the last decade, or had a friend that's been single in the last decade, there's a chance that a online dating app has been used. I use my fair share of online dating apps, and I realized there was nothing out there that catered strictly for the sports fan. I found that most dating apps had little to no capability to filter to only view sports fans. The ones that did offer it were either too expensive or they required you to fill out long questionnaires just to finally put sports in as an interest. Now, for me, that never really sat well with me, because why am I putting sports in the same field as I would my favorite genre of music or my interest in cooking? So I wanted to create something that resonated with sports fans. Sports fans, in my eyes, is more of a lifestyle. I am a Mets fan, not just somebody who has an interest in the Mets. For most sports fans, it was instilled in a very young age by our families And aside from our family, your love for your favorite team is most likely will be the longest relationship you will ever be in. It's also been said that being a sports fan builds character, and it's one of playing the field's core beliefs. Fans understand how to overcome disappointment and keep going. They know how to remain loyal through good and bad. They know how to love something unconditionally, and they know all about passion. All of the above are the same characteristics you want in a romantic partner. And at Playing the Field, our mission is to bring those worlds together to promote the love of the game and each other. So we created Playing the Field, the sports fans dating app. By using Playing the Field, you now have the ability for your profile to match your identity. Are you a Dodgers fan? Well, then your profile is going to be blue and white to match your favorite team. And don't worry, you don't have to just pick one favorite team. You can pick up to 5. You could showcase a different one by the press of a button. So when fall comes around and you want to showcase that you're a Raiders fan, click. Now your profile is the radiant silver and black. All profiles are in the shape of a sports trading card. So you also don't have to pick the right jersey picture just to add it to your profile to show others you're a sports fan. Just upload your best 5 photos and we'll take care of the rest. Enough about your profile, and let's talk about how the matching works. So we show you the matches based on the preferences you indicate on your registration. You can also choose to search by a team affiliation. So if you want to just view Yankees fans, you put in Yankees in the search bar, and that's all you're going to see as long as they have that as one of their top 5 favorite teams. On the front of the card, you're going to see the user's name, age, distance from you, relationship status, and their top favorite team. You also have the ability to flip to the back for more detailed stats and bios, which also includes all 5 of the favorite teams that they indicated. In a familiar fashion to other dating apps, you can like or pass on any of the profiles that you view. If you both like each other, you're going to match, and then you can start messaging each other and getting to know each other a little bit more now that your main passion is out of the way. We wanted to create an experience that will resonate with sports fans and designed everything with the sports fan in mind. But what are trading cards without bubblegum? At Playing the Field, by using Playing the Field, you can gain bubblegum by app engagement, such as viewing profiles, sending messages, referring friends, and more. With that bubblegum, you can trade it in for contest entries, profile boosts and add-ons, as well as some sports merchandise at our concession stands. If all of this wasn't enough to convince you that we need a dating app for sports fans, I'd like to share a few points. The average online dating user uses about 3 to 4 apps at a time, and the sports market has not yet been capitalized in the dating world. The sports market is worth over $70 billion in the U.S. and has over 200 million fans domestically. With strategic advisement and financial help, we can increase our marketing efforts and improve the app to get fans to start playing the field. With funds, we will hire marketers and content creators to boost our online presence, and we will also send representatives to sporting events, both professional and on the college level, to help spread the word. We will have custom jerseys made with scannable QR codes on the sleeve for our representatives to earn commission on any user they got to sign up for at least 3 months. We will also hire developers to polish the end product and make a smoother and quicker user experience, and also create mobile versions for the app stores. Once we develop a large user base, we will sell ad space on our app and roll out some of our premium features. There are over 30 million online daters currently in the US. If we were only to acquire 1% of those users, and if 50% of those viewed an average of 25 profiles a day, which is below the industry average, that would give the app over 1.3 billion impressions a year. In the next 18 months, with a healthy marketing budget, I believe we can acquire more than that 1% and also attract sports fans that have never used a dating app before. We are seeking a $1 million investment on a safe note for 18 months of runway. We would like you to join our team and help us help sports fans find their MVP.
Thank you. Mike, I'll start. Are you concerned that you'll get more men than women on your app?
See, that's a common misconception. The men are definitely going to be easier to come by, granted. but there is, the NFL fan base is 47% female.
Okay. What's your software status right now?
We have a beta. It is in a web app form. The URL on the bottom is incorrect. It's playthefielddating.com, but that is a beta. We launched on April 15th.
Okay. Give me a little breakdown on the $1 million where it would be used, big picture. I don't need all the buckets, but what's the top 3 uses of that money?
The top uses would be hiring a couple of developers to polish the product and get mobile app versions out there. And a big chunk of it's going to go towards marketing and content creation because, knowing the other people in the game, we have to, we might have to spend a little bit of money to get the word out there to go against some of the bigger players such as, Tinder or Bumble.
That was going to be my question. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, and the rest would go towards general operating expenses and servers.
Okay. That was going to be my next question. Was that industry seems to be very crowded. How do you get your share of voice in that industry?
Yeah, agreed. It is a big market. But there's also a lot of niche dating apps that have had tremendous success. And I feel that I feel as if this is not a niche dating app and it's more of a niche sports app, considering there's more sports fans than there are online dating users in the US.
Okay. Tony?
Thanks, Bob. So, Mike, I'm the old guy in the room. I met my wife the old-fashioned way, set up through friends. So I'm certainly aware of apps, but dating apps, but I've never used one. But as you and Bob were just talking about, it seems like every time you turn on the TV, there's a commercial for a new app. I've seen apps for farmers. I've seen religious-based apps. I've seen country music dating apps. So I'd like you to go deeper into how you really attack that market because it is so crowded. And you said that even some of the niche players are doing very well. I would ask that you dimensionalize that as well. What does that mean that a niche player is doing well?
Well, the farmers only makes about $50 million a year, brings in about $50 million a year in revenue. But we want to attack the sports fans and hit them where they are, at games, at bars, at restaurants, revolved around sports and not really catering just to the dating market, and I feel that with being more sports fans out there than there are people in the dating market, there's a lot more that we can convert over.
And I'm curious, what's your professional background? Do you come from technology or what have you been
I do
doing?
not. I self-taught myself to create this app by myself. I created it while we were in quarantine and was able to get the app out April 15th, which was a few months before our target, which was about All-Star break.
So what have you been doing professionally? Just out of curiosity.
Right now I just I'm in administration and I work for a child care center as administrator.
So anecdotally, when you talk to people about the concept, what kind of feedback do you get?
I have not gotten any negative feedback at all. People love the concept, and there's also people that are in committed relationships that said, they would have definitely used it. And so we decided to add in a friends feature as well. So it's not just going to be for romantic relationships. And you could just find somebody to go to a game together as well. If just say you're in a different state and you want to go and see your favorite team playing in an away game and you want to go with somebody, or you move to a different state through work, you can connect with people that, they can go to games with.
Great.
Cool. Who knew?
Thank you.
Who knew farmers had that big of a dating app? That blew me away right there.
Really?
Right, Michael. Thank you so much. Great job.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right. Honestly. All right, boys, we're down to the last one, everybody. Thanks again. We have the last one coming all the way from Australia, Sports Finder. And here's my guy bringing in the last one. Then we'll wrap it up. You got 10.
Thank you, Rob.
All right, buddy.
Thank you, Rob. Hi, Bob. Hi, Tony. Hope you're well. My name is Ahmed Al-Houli, and I'm the founder of Sports Finder. Sports Finder is an e-commerce college sport marketplace that is really working to enable student athletes and bringing together colleges on one platform. So what we're really trying to do here is we're trying to build a universe, an ecosystem for student athletes to be able to monetize on these new NIL changes moving forward, and to be able to bring on these colleges on a platform to actually get rid of their equipment that they hold every single year and they release at the end of the year. This platform is going to enable and make basically sports a lot more accessible to the wider community, and it's also going to make it a lot more affordable to other students looking to participate in sport. Now, what our vision is, what we're trying to build here is a social marketplace that enables these students to monetize on their personal brands and allows these colleges to then use our platform as a channel to sell all this equipment that they hold on to, as well as your regular college fan who's either an alumni or is, participating in sport and buying merchandise of the college. So there's three verticals here. The biggest problem right now is it really is a divided world and a divided sector. You currently have listings on your eBays, your sideline swaps, and all these other platforms where people have to go to. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bring it all on one platform. And the way I came about this whole idea is I was actually looking to purchase a pair of LSU gloves myself. I was looking on eBay, on Instagram, and basically just from place to place to place. And the funny thing is, one of the biggest sports in America is football, if not the biggest. And that's the one sport that doesn't have an actual platform that you can go to and purchase all your football equipment from, in terms of actually buying used and new stuff. So hence why you'll notice if you go to our site, our title is the best place to buy and sell football equipment. That's a niche that we actually started with. And we've had great success in onboarding users based on the whole football and college football theme. Our solution is a social e-commerce marketplace allowing college students to buy and sell their personal merchandise and equipment. Right now, their personal merchandise is not a thing yet due to NIL happening in 2021, 2022. But hey, we have to get in now and solidify ourselves in the marketplace as the front runners and the industry leaders. How we have an unfair advantage as an organization. Myself, my background, I've built a marketplace here in Australia. I've made all the mistakes, I've made all the losses, I know what works and what doesn't work. Obviously, we're always learning, we're always innovating, we're always pushing forward. Our current infrastructure allows any individual to have their own profile, upload their own products, and have a presence on our platform, which is web and mobile, Android and iOS. The product is ready and it's ready to go, and it has users. The current landscape. So every single year you have about 500,000 student athletes that compete in 24 sports. With hundreds of colleges. Division 1 alone has over 170,000 student athletes. College football has the chunk of the media rights with over $300 million. So basically what we have here is we have a machine. Every single year, there's new students coming through, and then you got the current students that are in the system, then you got the students that become alumni. Now, your standard, the way it's currently working most of the time is the students that leave the college sports sector don't really get too involved because they have to move on with their lives. With NIL happening and all these other changes, that's going to take a shift because now they're relevant more than ever because they built this fan base. What happens after that? They can take that fan base with them and do more and more and more. Our platform, what our platform does, it enables your student athletes to now have this presence in a community of college students and college sport. Every single profile is basically able to be followed, liked, shared, commented on. What we're really trying to do here is we're trying to replicate the social behaviors that they're so used to on their social media platforms and bringing it across to our platform and making it really conversational and social, as well as have an economic twist to it with the whole e-commerce. So, so many people finish college, they have a ton of equipment. You ask them, what did they do with it? I can almost guarantee you, every second person will say to you, it's just sitting in my basement. Why? Because the awareness isn't there, coming through the whole system. Now, when you become an integral plug into that system, that all changes. Our current situation, the way we launched was literally we just put up a small site of a template that we had here, which was a marketplace. So everybody gets their own profile, their own website, own everything. Okay. From the very get-go, the biggest question was, do you guys have a mobile app? So I brushed it off a few times early, and I said, look, no, we don't. No, we don't. And then more and more people start asking. And then we scrambled things together. We put together a mobile app. We launched it in March. And March the 8th, exactly. We currently have over 550 sellers. And every single day, basically what we've been able to do is we've been able to nurture an audience on Facebook and Instagram and really target this audience, which is focused on college sports and football in general. And we're acquiring a user now between 25 to about 40 cents. So we've really worked out where the spending needs to go. We've really worked out our audience. We've worked out our consumer. Now it's time to ramp things up and take it to a whole new level. What we're doing is, as an organization, we're talking to a few organizations. We've spoken to Influencer that has over 20,000 student athletes on there, trying to monetize on their brands. We've spoken to Teamworks. We've spoken to FrontRush. There's interest across the board. There's nothing signed, sealed yet. I can't promise that. But what I can promise is there's interest because it works for them to plug into us. Because right now, nobody else is doing this. So we've taken the front foot. Another organization that we're working very closely with is the College Sports Management Group, basically Ray Katz and all those guys. They have an amazing network of programs in the whole college sports sector, and they do all the media rights and buying rights and so on and so on. So one other component to all this is esport, because there's so many esport influencers that don't really have a place to sell their merchandise on. Everyone's working off their own little gig. What we're looking to do now is with the CSMG is work with their esports organization that they have an annual conference for, and they work together with other esports influencers and enable these influencers to now sell and actually build merchandise. One of the partnerships that we're really working on is Squad Blocker, where we're looking to have them come through our system. So then what you have is you got the distribution channel, you got the community, you got the audience, and you got the ability to build the merchandise inside our platform without going anywhere. So that sort of completes the whole universe that we're trying to build. Well, what we're looking to raise is $500,000 for 15%. And what we're trying to do with that money is really knuckle down on our marketing. The first thing I'd do with that money is I'd go out and I'd get an experienced a collegiate sales individual who's got these networks and these contacts already to really go after the colleges and bring them in and explain to them how they can monetize and bring on an acquisition marketer that has done all this before. That's all from me, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Couple of questions.
Yeah.
Are you focused on the university or the individual as your client or seller?
Both. And we've been asked this question before. We did some surveys with FrontRush, and the feedback was, how is a big university going to be listed somewhere next to, for example, a John Thomas, right? So they said, we don't want to have our products listed there because, we're a big university, they're just an individual. I said, that's very simple. We can create like a verification process where the colleges are a lot more recognized or with their profiles, like a blue tick for verification, so on, so on, so on. So that's the colleges is one vertical because they have equipment that they release every single year, right? And right now it's all happening one day or 2 days or whatever, a big sale. We're looking to streamline that and get it out to a wider audience.
Okay. Software-wise, you're all set now, or you have more work to do on it? Where is that?
We're built. We're ready to go. What we're obviously going to do is constantly improve the product. The whole goal is to be able to do it's easy on the fly. They can upload stuff. They can push stuff. So on, so on, so on.
And then, do you envision any hurdles with people? As you said, it's really not quote unquote allowed right now. So what are the hurdles that you envision going forward in order to win people over and get them comfortable with selling so that they don't break any rules or violate NCAA or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, these are things where we have to develop industry partners and become recognized in the space and build a reputation for understanding NIL, understanding what's entailed in this whole process. So if we can overcome that and educate the students on what they can and can't do based on the facts and the figures that we're getting from the top government bodies, because now we're partners with these guys, that's really going to remove any negative stigma that may come or challenge.
And you said you had 450 sellers now. Did I hear that correctly?
More. That at the time of the presentation is now it's over 550.
What's the breakdown between individuals versus organizations like universities? Is it all individuals now, or is
all individuals?
All individuals. Okay. All right. Good. Tony?
Thanks, Bob. Nice job, Ahmad. So help me understand what the average athlete is selling, because some of the equipment that college athletes are issued becomes the athlete's property, and some of it is still the university's property that they have to turn in at the end of the year. So I'm just curious what some of the items may be that a basketball or soccer or lacrosse player may be putting up.
So let's talk football, because that's really where we've been focusing in the last 6 months. Cleats, visors, helmets, gloves, massive, crazy online, communities of millions of people. That's really what's being pushed on our platform, even this second. The other component which hasn't happened yet is their own merchandise, right? Nowadays, if you look at the general consumer, big brands don't matter as much. It's about the affinity that you're able to build with your audience and connect them with your brand. And these athletes, on colleges, on actual colleges, they have huge followings, and even outside. Because they get so much airtime, especially football and basketball, they're able to build very large audiences. We're talking 500,000 people here. We're talking a couple of 100,000 minimum, So now they can have their own merchandise at a very reasonable cost, which they can then push out for their own little personal brands and their followers. That's where we really come in the merchandise.
So you don't see any IP or licensing issues if I'm an athlete and I want to sell University of Alabama helmet. It was my helmet I wore during the season. I'm not sure, as a sports marketing industry expert, I'm not sure that the athlete has the right to sell that university branded merchandise. They may be able to sell themselves.
That's correct.
Through NIL, but I don't know that they could sell university branded merch. Is that correct?
That is correct. So especially with the top five, the top colleges, I say the top 25. Sorry, the helmets was a bad example. So let's look at the gloves, the cleats, and so on and so on. Then they can sell, and right now the way it's happening, I guarantee you, they're not selling it, but it's getting into the community somehow. So, and it's getting pushed out. So that's really where the selling will happen. The cleats, the visors, the non-university branded stuff, really.
Got it.
Yeah.
Does Fanatics sell any of this used merchandise?
No. Sideline Swap has a part of the market where they really focus on their stick sports. Like I said, the whole football world is pretty neglected, to my surprise.
So you said you had 500 plus users on site, right? Can
Yeah.
you tell us how many transactions and what's the average transaction price?
Yeah, so we've had it. We to be honest with you, we haven't had much sales because we haven't been trying to sell. We've been trying to build an audience to work with to improve the platform. We've had a couple of $1,000s in sales, about 15 transactions. So it's about 100 and 150, between 150 to $150 a transaction. We'll take a commission out of that. It's currently at 7.5%. The way we'll be doing it with the student athletes is we'll be almost acting like not actual agents, but similar to that. We can say to them, okay, this is our platform, this is what we take. We'll be charging them a higher commission, basically, and we'll be guiding them through this whole process.
So, and that's my next question. So, will the individual have a lot of latitude? I've got my cleats and I want to put them on this platform for $20 or $2,000, or will you really give them some guidance based on previous sales and based on whether this person was a starter or a reserve player, etc.?
Yeah, so we will guide them. We will have a hand that's involved, hence why we're charging a bit more, because it's a lot more nurtured. So the other aspect of that will be auctioning, memorabilia and so on. That'll be a whole different component that we'll also bring on. Because now, once the rule changes happen, we will be able to auction certain products. So yeah, we will be charging them a bit more. We're looking at about, don't quote me, about 15%, because we will have other partners that have massive audiences, and we'll be working on ref share models, push-pull sort of models, which, because they've got the audiences already, so that takes out most of your grunt work.
And do you plan on having advertisers on the platform as well?
Yeah, not at the very beginning. Later on, once the audience is built, once we have about 20,000 users, absolutely.
Great, terrific.
And at this rate, we're uploading about 30 users a day.
Fantastic. Any more questions, gentlemen? That's it?
Nope. Thank you, though.
Thank you, Ahmad. Have a great day down there. Good morning, sir.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care. All right. So that was it. That was the last one. We'll wrap up night one of two nights. And we got out underneath an hour and 45. Do you guys have any closing comments on next steps or anything else? Bob, you first.
No, like I said before, I think that we want to see the passion. These are speed dating things. Tony and I, I'm sure, will have a lot more questions for people. I'm a big believer in a process, understanding the people, and then how you're going to generate revenue. That's for me the way I look at things.
Got it. Tony dropped out, but he's back. He's back. I thought it was like, was this something we said, Tony? You just left us.
I saw some food in the other room. I was hungry.
Tony, any final words?
Great presentations, well thought out presentations, and I would love to hear from everybody and have some follow up conversations. So thank you.
Wonderful. So on behalf of Bob, Tony, Michael, myself, Denise, I'm going to bring Mike up here. Look, Mike, at least Mike put a tie on.
Nice.
All right, Mike.
Gotta look good for my cameo appearance.
There you go. So Mike and our crew backstage with Denise and John and Abby and Zach, we want to thank you guys for your time and patience and hanging in there with us. Great job, everybody, tonight. We'll see you next week. We're going to be cutting up and editing these videos. We'll be putting them on GamePlanU.org for everybody to look at, as well as across all our social channels. So on behalf of all of us, good night, everybody. Great job, founders. We'll see you later.